Podular Modcast, as always, is brought to you by the lovely folks over at Patchwerks. Patchwerks is more than just a synthesizer, music gear shop. They're building a community by connecting you to the joy of music with workshops, classes, live music events, and friendly, knowledgeable staff. They are there to help you with wherever it is you are at in your music making journey. Located in the Wallingford neighborhood in Seattle, stop by Patchwerks showroom to play with your favorite music gear and join their community. And if you don't live in the Pacific Northwest region of the world, then head over to patchwerks.com, patchwerks.com, where they have not just the latest and greatest in modular, but all sorts of synthesizer gear, as well as home studio equipment. Once again, that is patchwerks.com, patchwerks.com. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Podular Modcast. My name is Tim Held. I'm currently walking around in the parking lot at the school that I teach at. It's a long story, but I basically had all my stuff prepared to make this intro and edit it all together while my students were taking a test, and I left that hard drive at my house. And I'm leaving to go camping for the weekend, and I need to get this episode up. So that's why I'm out here. So I'm going to keep it short. No featured artist again this week, but it's coming back. I do have some cool videos with the new sampler and delay from 4MS. But that's going to have to wait another week. This week we have Graig Markel from Recovery Effects and The Animals at Night. And this is live from Patchwerks, so we're going to get a little mini Animals at Night set, and then Graig is going to give a little talk and answer some questions. Thanks to all the sponsors, After Later Audio, Patchwerks, 4MS, Novation. Now I'm going to turn around because I don't want anybody to see me doing this, because I feel kind of weird doing this. What else? Oh yeah, don't forget about my Intro to Eurorack workshop at Patchwerks. That will actually be a week from this Friday. If you're watching the day of the release, I'll put a little flyer up on the screen here. Go to Patchwerks website, link in the show description to get more details on that. Had a great time playing at Tacoma Porch Fest, and I wasn't the only person there with modular gear, which was really cool. So I'm going to show some videos from that next week. But how about just a little snippet of my live set from Porch Fest? Patreon supporters, I put the whole set on the Patreon. And if you would like to help support Podular Modcast, you can head over to patreon.com/Podular Modcast. All right, here's part of my set. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I am using the Recovery Effects brand new cutting room floor pedal on this snippet from my set, as well as the sound destruction device. That's when it gets real crunchy.
I'm gonna put this on because we're not streaming this.
Okay, yeah. Do you turn it on? Yeah.
Patchwerks, dude, totally.
That's what I said.
And then,
Yeah, then I can, oh, you have it in your mix already.
yeah, it should.
Awesome.
Oh my god, how do I get this in? Something like this. Hey Tim,
Yo.
how did you do that last time? Wow.
What are friends for, right?
Totally. We're totally wired right now. Okay, perfect. I'm Graig, and Recovery Effects. And I'm also musician, playing under the name The Animals at Night, and recording that way, performing. And so I thought it would be fun to do a demo showing how I incorporate some of the Recovery Effects stuff into my recording and live setup. And I'm primarily a guitar player, so everything I do kind of comes out from that. From being a guitar player to engineer, recording engineer, guitar player into effects building, instrument building, and then guitar player into synthesist. I kind of have used Patchwerks quite a bit with this whole journey of getting not only my guitar into my synthesizer, like Dream Rig, but just all elements of a synthesis, really. And I use the MPC as kind of the brain of the operation. The new MPCs are so cool. They, I mean, obviously they're great beat makers and samplers and stuff, but they send CV and gate signals out and receive them. And so right now I have this going out to the Mystic, which is our FM synth. It's kind of a desktop semi-modular synthesizer. And then from there going out into the Endless Summer, which is our spring reverb. It's a real spring. And I have CV going out into the blooper, clocking it, and I have our own Recovery Effects Ghostwriter going out from here into the MPC, triggering the synth engine, which is another one of my favorite features of the MPC is the synth engine, which is awesome. And so along with that, we have the shortwave, which is our radio transmission effect. Make sure everything that go into it sounds kind of like a spy recorder. White gold, which we call the choral synthesizer. And the cutting room floor. This is the new V2 that just came out. And it is, it's a tape echo, but what kind of differentiates it from other tape echoes is that it not only modulates the delay signal, but modulates the input signal as well. So your main source, which I think is a huge part of tape delay, is that saturation on the main signal, not just the repeated signal. And one of the other big differences is that most of the tape delays or modulated delays have just like an LFO kind of pumping into the delay signal. With the cutting room floor, there's 2 layers, one that melts it first, the delay signal, and then modulates that. So if I can kind of it gets way better, kind of complex delay. And so usually, I mean, when I'm recorded stuff for the animals at night, stuff that sounds like it is going to a tape deck or sounds kind of damaged, I'm usually using this cutting room floor or the shortwave or a combination of them. So yeah, without further ado, I think I'm going to try to do a little something. Oh, now do I have this all tangled around? It's not quite wireless.
Mm.
So, yeah, thanks for all coming out, and I don't really know where to begin other than maybe like ask if you have any questions. If you're fed up, you know.
Yeah, I'm fed up, and I have a question.
Yeah.
What triggered the initial kick? For some reason, I didn't. Was it the NPC or? For some, I thought it was like an artifact from the blooper, but then
Oh yeah.
I didn't see you hit the NPC.
I've just been gliding through different scenes.
Oh,
on the
yeah,
NPC.
okay.
So somewhere I hit it probably at the beginning of there,
And
then
you just dialed it up a little bit.
probably took like 4 bars for it to get it
Gotcha. Okay.
to change, because that first drone section is like, I think it was like 8 bars.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And
So that wasn't just like a loop. It was actually going through scenes or.
yeah, it's like an 8-bar scene of a drone, and then of a drone cord, and that went along with this guy. And when it came in, you didn't really notice it because there was a low pass filter on it, and that kind of like, just played with kind of pulling that in, that patty drone, core drone, at the beginning, and then kind of towards the end, trailing it out. So I always run this kind of, it depends on, like right now I have it after fuzz and after other stuff, but usually I have it kind of sitting on like my deluxe. And so I always run this kind of, it depends on, like right now I have it after fuzz and after other stuff, but usually I have it kind of sitting at the front. If I'm recording, it just kind of goes straight in. If I'm recording synth parts, I'll just like go straight into it and record. It adds so much cool grit and character to a signal. Just makes it sound like it's hitting tape, and then you don't even have to use any of the delay. You can keep the delay totally down, just use it as I can play a little bit of it.
Is that where the static was coming from too?
Yeah, there's some static coming from the blooper, I believe.
The tapey or the like vinyl-y sounding
Yeah.
static?
I think some of it's, I had some tape loops on here too, but I mean some like record scratching kind of things.
As far as like sound inputs themselves, like the guitar, the NPC with the sampling themselves, and then does the Mystic too, right? Puts out I guess it puts out an output rather than puts out a signal rather than manipulating the signal.
Yeah, it was just putting out a drone, and
Do you want us to switch the camera over so we can see the pedals?
so there was some kind of animation going on with it, and that was from the CV and the NPC. You could probably, well, it's moved now, but the NPC has just CV tracks that you can write like you would like write a MIDI track, and it's really super useful for sending stuff out to Eurorack or synthesizer, any kind of synthesizer stuff.
Yay.
There we go.
Different scene for a while. Yeah. So yeah, I do a lot of Eurorack stuff as well, but I don't know. I've just been kind of on a kick lately with pedals, and even when I'm doing Eurorack stuff, I use my guitar too. I have the Strymon converter, and sometimes use it as just as effects, and do a lot of sampling with the 4MS stereo trigger sampler and Magneto, and what's the make noise one? Not the mimeophone, but the Morphogene.
Morphogene.
Yeah. Morphogene. Whenever I open it up, I just spend like a week on it, like recording samples and things that turn into songs and stuff. So this just came out, the cutting room floor, but before that we put out the cutting room floor V2 Eurorack module. I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah. It's super skinny and it's right here. And it does the same thing, only for Eurorack. And actually, I'll just plug this for a second. Show them off. We have, I don't know, we have a bunch of modules right now. This isn't all of them, but some of my favorites are the cutting room floor, and actually of our best-selling modules, the Bad Comrade is also one of my favorites. And Bleeding Hearts is really cool and weird. It's basically kind of like our sound destruction device, module and pedal, but there's a sequencer on it as well that bleeds bleeds voltage into the triggers bleeds voltage into triggers and then kind of affects the starve function. So the starve is the voltage. So you can go anywhere from like 15 volts to 0 and get some really starved kind of splattery sounds. And it's just a great way to add some rhythmic kind of like texture to your stuff. And yeah, what else would I like to talk about?
Did you go over what the Ghost Rider was? You mentioned before you started to play that you were using it to control that.
Oh yeah, so the Ghost Rider is an audio to MIDI device. The cool thing about this guy is that it switches back and forth from audio to MIDI, so you can send both signals. If you have it on the floor, you can with a pretty easy foot switch go from guitar to triggering your synthesizer. And I'm triggering here the synth engine inside the MPC. There's a few, and I'm using the hype plugin. There's so many on this thing now, and it is so cool. I got recently a Fender Rhodes plugin that sounds amazing.
Does it sound like the real thing?
I mean, there are Rhodes samples, so it sounds excellent. When I first, plugins, okay, they must be like some approximation of like an FM synth or something, approximation of a Rhodes, but no, they're samples, and the Solina that's on there is samples. There's also Mellotron now, which I haven't even touched. I have a hardware Mellotron that I haven't touched since I started messing around with this.
Is that like your MIDI brain right there, or how's it sequencing through all the pedals?
Yeah, so for pedals, I'm just going out CV into the blooper, so it's clocking the blooper every 4 bars, and then this Ghost Rider goes at MIDI out into MIDI in here to trigger the synth stuff. And yeah, I was going to say something, I forgot what I was going to say.
That you want to play some Fender Rhodes guitar?
What's that?
That you want to play some Fender Rhodes guitar?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, that's another thing I haven't touched for a long time is my Fender Rhodes. Because yeah, another cool thing about this is that there's all these different. The camera's not on it right now, but there's with the pad performances. I mean, like everybody has these grid performer things now that can go to slide scales and stuff like that. But the cool thing about this, I mean, is it's kind of like the only time I think, well, Ableton Push has it. There's just some really complex features on it as far as progressions, and you can load up your own custom progressions into it. So and the ability to sync it up with Ableton is amazing. You can export projects from here into Ableton, in addition to just bouncing down WAV files and stuff like that.
When
But-
did you graduate to that? I thought you had the one.
I have the one,
Oh yeah.
but the one is in my setup,
Okay.
and so I got this one just because I can take it to bed, and then carry it around because it's battery powered and it has this cool speaker feature to it. It doesn't actually sound too bad. It's pretty nice. It's kind of like the new teenage engineering field. It's not the best in the world, but just to bang stuff out on, it's pretty cool. So yeah, and the one has so much stuff tied into it. It's like unhooking my mixer now at this point, which I bought a mixer for this thing. And I'm like, I'm not gonna unhook my mixer in my drawer, and I'm not gonna take the one with me. I did that a long time. I bought this one when I did a show. I just realized I did do a show last summer.
Oh.
Yeah, I was thinking that I didn't do anything before the pandemic, so I was really nervous about doing this tonight. I was like, dude, I haven't done anything since before the pandemic.
Where?
In Everett.
In Everett? Did you play with that band that you're friends with, or?
I will keep your ghost.
Yeah.
Like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
He has a modular project, and it was so amazing. They have this church in downtown Everett that is super cheap to rent out. It's like, I think that it was under $200. Dude, who would rent their space out to a bunch of strangers for
A good Christian.
a good Christian? I was like, my first thought was like, they must have not done this for very long.
Yeah, especially.
But then Brian was like, no, dude, we've done it for years here. We've done stuff for the Fisherman's Village shows and stuff. I was like, wow, that's crazy. Somebody is not taking advantage of them. Yeah. But it was this huge church. It was amazing, and anyway, that's when I bought the live, and they sell them here. Everything actually that I have here is Patchwerks bought, except for maybe like a couple of Von Gone and this guy, and that just goes to show how cool Patchwerks is, how great a store it is. It's such a cool resource, and for you all, if you haven't been here before, there's classes here. You've been taking one of the classes now, and the Mave. Is it like a one-time thing? The
Mavis.
Mavis.
It's a synthesis class.
One class, and then you build it.
I had built it.
Yeah, but now you're rocking it.
No, I'm rocking it. Yeah. And Mavising it.
Yeah.
Thanks to Connie.
Connie, you teach the class?
It's co-taught by myself and Jason.
And Jason,
It's 2 weeks on synthesis with the Mavis and 2 weeks in intro to production in Ableton.
Cool, that's awesome.
Super good.
Thank you so much for coming out. That is awesome. We'll see you soon.
See you on the neighborhood.
All right.
Yeah.
And thank you all for coming out too. I was really nervous about it. I've come out to. I always come out to events out here and stuff. And I've tried coming out to one of these demos, and it's like, wow, it's going to be tough to get people out to this. But there's a few people here, so I'm super happy. And if there's anything that you have any questions about, any modules, feel free to ask. All of these are taken from that Needham case out there. So if you want to at any time when you're at Patchwerks messing around, go play with them, and please check them out. And check out some of the pedals too. Another one reason I want to kind of focus on pedals here is because I just think it's such a unique way to add. Everybody here is obviously into synthesizers, and there's a little bit of a crossover from synthesizers to pedals and stuff. But I have the pedal bug really bad, and I just think it's such a cool way to change things up and make things interesting, and there's so many cool things that you can do with them these days. With like, you know, for instance, the blooper, it's MIDI and CVable, and the cutting room floor is CVable as well. The CV modulates the delay time just like it does on the module. And yeah, and the Ghost Rider. I think one of the cool things about the Ghost Rider is just the ability to switch back and forth between audio and MIDI signals. There wasn't really anything like that, and it's been a really good seller for us. And
can you better explain what that does? I don't follow what it's doing.
It just converts your, you know, when you're in Logic or Ableton, you can convert an audio file to MIDI, and that's just what it does.
Oh, okay.
In real time, and it tracks like so good.
Right.
It's,
Amazing.
you can just play your synth with your guitar.
Yeah.
And
Can you
it's,
show us?
Yeah, can I? Let's see.
Can you play like the Rhodes through the guitar?
Oh, that's what you meant by Fender Rhodes guitar.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
thinking like,
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fucking awesome.
So in order to kind of get it to track a little bit more accurately, I was kind of messing around with being able to have it transfer over a wider range, but it really it had to be kind of dialed into the guitar's range. So it works really well with guitar. You can use it with bass too, but you have to kind of use it in the guitar's range. Like if you play an open E, it's not gonna transfer it. It's not gonna read it.
so it wouldn't work well with like a 7-string?
Whereas the 7-string is the 7-string
Lower?
lower.
The E?
So there's a little bit of leeway. So it would probably track.
Cool. That's super cool, yeah.
But not like a full octave. But what I usually do, I mean, I have used it with the bass, and I usually just set the target octave on the synth, you know, lower.
Sure.
I've used it with VSTs, like output instruments,
Mhm.
fucking perfectly, and it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, like the whole symphony is just on guitar, and like I'm a guitar first
Yeah.
musician who's just kind of learning about synths, and it's just like blowing my mind. Yeah.
There is a
Yeah.
you know tiny bit of latency, but not anything to. I mean, I'm pretty picky about stuff like that, and it's never really bothered me.
What's the latency like?
Oh, maybe like 30, 50 milliseconds. I mean, it's not too bad. And if you're using it to track,
Yeah.
you know, quantizing
Yeah, sure.
it works fine.
How well does it track chords?
Does not track chords.
Oh, right.
Unfortunately, that is the big thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll ever track chords because I mean, I don't know. It's never say never. I mean,
I mean, if you were to play chords, it would maybe just pick up like one note, or would
The
it kind of
fundamental.
like?
it would pick up one note.
Yeah.
The
that's
first
cool.
one you hit.
Yeah, it's I think with guitar, you know, there's so much interference and so much weird stuff like hitting the strings and stuff. It's really tough to get it to. And there's a little bit of work to get it to track accurately in that way. Like, you know, if you're playing just kind of like, you know, usually I mute over here on the bridge and play that way. It usually. If you do like here's like a chord. So like right there, if it's not being, the strings aren't really being controlled, so you get a little bit of like, you know, clatter, weird kind of MIDI gibberish. Yeah, one of my favorite things to do with it is going into the loop going with it, and then just start like writing gibberish into it. Record, write it, and then just get weird, you know, filter stuff, or you know, that pitch thing I was kind of doing with it earlier.
Greg, you mentioned that it was bi-directional, like it'll go the other way too, or?
You mean receive MIDI in?
Yeah.
It will not receive MIDI in.
Oh, okay.
That's a good idea, though.
Write it down.
Was what you were saying, Greg, that you could switch between MIDI and audio in the sense of like you have your guitar connected to it, and then you mute the guitar and just play your synth with the guitar, and then you can mute the MIDI and just have the audio pass through.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Super awesome.
Yeah.
Are you planning to make that into a? Oh, I guess it wouldn't make as much sense as a module.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I was trying to figure out how it would make sense as a module, but.
I mean, you could incorporate like in the little Mikey, you could have an XLR input perhaps, and maybe do it that way and send out. Send out CV.
That could be pretty cool. You'd have to have an audio to MIDI and plus CV conversion, which you could totally do. Well, I was thinking about doing something like that. I think that would be a great idea. I think we're kind of behind on. The last module that we did was the cutting room floor, and I've been doing a lot of revisions and kind of touching things up that have been bothering me, and so I've kind of not put a whole lot of effort into new modules, because I felt like we had like there was some things that we could do to kind of improve them, so they're all kind of dialed in now. And I was thinking about the Mystic, how that could be done into a module, but it's just, the thing I've discovered about modules is that they have to be so small these days, you know? Like, I think one of the reasons that the Bleeding Hearts, it's such a cool module. It does not sell very well for us comparatively to other modules, because it's just too big. It takes up, 24 HP of your case or whatever, and that's just like nobody wants that. You know? Unless it does something like totally amazing, like it's like your main brain, like that is for me, like you're some sequencer or something like that. But I've found that modules kind of do best when they're in the 4 to 6 HP range. Yeah. I don't see how we're going to get this down to 4 HP.
What is your perspective on like the ergonomic difference between like a pedal and a module? Like I'm almost looking at your case of pedals, and it looks like a modular case.
I kind of try to treat it like that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's my modular setup. I mean, it doesn't process. There's no EDSRs or VCAs or anything like that into it, but that. I mean, you could. There's people that do some like the Hungry Robot. They do pedals that are also they have a full range of just VCA stuff and filters, and so you can fully treat your board as a modular device. Yeah. But I really love both, and I love modular. I love pedals. I've been really getting into. I have a Buchla that I bought a while back, and my Surge stuff I really love. I kind of been getting into building a 5U setup. It's still really like. I was like gifted a case, and then started like the power stuff, and then now it's like just a huge project. It's like it's kind of. I've realized that it's a total like old man project, like 5U modular. It's like why am I messing with this? Like everything can be done in Eurorack pretty much, and I'm just doing it because at this point because I got the case and I got the power supply, and now it's like I'm just buying modules, and it's kind of like I built a guitar over COVID, and like pretty much about halfway into it, I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? Like, you could just, but you could have just bought a new guitar. And it's like, now I have to finish it. And
For a
so-
fraction of the cost.
Yeah, totally. and no time, you know. But it's cool. I've been learning a lot of stuff on
Well-
guitar setup and stuff.
Well, I have a question. Like, as an instrument maker, do you feel like what the music that you make from devices or instruments that you've made is like different, or you have like a more personal connection, or like just it's like there's a reason that you are putting all the time into like the company and making pedals and modules and things that you use.
I mean, I think I have a kind of unique. I mean, comparing myself to Lenny maybe from After Later, he's more of an engineer, and I'm more of a musician, a crafty musician, I think, and I that's where it really like sprung from, was designing stuff, was from just wanting to create things that I wanted to see. From the Mystic, for instance, was messing around with the Op6, and there's all those crazy cool sounds you can get by moving operators. You cannot, you can't manipulate it with CD. I was like, that's the coolest sound inside that thing. Like, why isn't that doable? So that's kind of why I did that, and and then about that time when I finish it up and I'm doing demos, I have these ideas that I'm going to do a whole record with just the Mystic, and I start recording stuff, and then I never really finish it. But I mean, I will finish tracks, of course, but there's I guess sidetrack pretty easily with I'll finish tracks and put things out, but I always get these grand ideas that I'm going to do like a record with, I'm going to do something with lap steel and drums and bass, and that's it, maybe some Rhodes, and that's the rule. And then I'll get into like 4 tracks of it, and then, okay, cool, it's an EP, and I'll come back to that later, because I really want to go back to doing some like, ambient, pedal stuff, or whatever. And,
Really?
so I've been doing these like EPs over the last, because I started realizing that's what I do, and I don't finish these records. So I started putting out EPs. Dude, you got a new synthesizer? You got a new synth? What'd you get?
I got a Zero Control.
Oh,
Congratulations.
cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Graig, is there another instrument that you're really like dying to make?
So we have a new pedal coming out. It's not really top secret, but nobody knows about it yet. But it's this size, and it is a spring reverb like the Endless Summer. One of the kind of unique things about the Endless Summer is that it has a drive feature too. So when you get up to about 7 or so, it starts to get a little grit. But this is a completely clean reverb like our Endless Summer Deluxe rack module with the tiny spring, and there's a DSP delay and reverb on it as well. So you can get those spring sounds along with hall sounds and a delay that has a couple different styles on it. Like an analog style delay and then a digital delay. So I'm trying to work out some bugs on it, and we just got the new PCBs in this week, so trying to just hustle some time to see how they go, and I think we're pretty close. And then just design the faceplate for it and stuff. The faceplate will look a little more like the Mystic, kind of like into this like celestial stuff these days, And, so yeah. But that's kind of the next thing. I've been kind of really getting, I'm really excited about the prospect of doing something Raspberry Pi based, but I haven't quite, something like the organelle, but I haven't quite put my finger on how that's all going to work yet, but definitely in the next like probably year. That's like the long project.
Cool.
Trying to figure out something along those lines. But yeah.
What do you?
I haven't really used Daisy Patch yet. I bought it like a few months ago, and it's on my to-do list. But have you used it?
No. I've thought about it for a while, but haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah. I mean, my extent. So I haven't really used Daisy Patch yet. I bought it like a few months ago, and it's on my to-do list. But have you used it?
No. I've thought about it for a while, but haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah. I mean, my extent so far with microcontroller stuff is the Raspberry, and then I've been really messing around with the Mozzie library for the Arduino. It's kind of limited, but I feel like there's like some kind of untapped like potential. Like that's what the Mystic uses.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of cool stuff that can be done with it. And then MIDI controlling and stuff via Arduino. I think that there's a lot of, and Raspberry, I think there's a lot of cool stuff that could be done with that as well. But yeah, just finding something that hasn't been done at this point is like really, it's exciting, but it's also tough, There's so much stuff out there. And sometimes you can kind of, you get like super excited about something, and then you start kind of leaking it and talking to people about it, and then, we can, you can do this with this thing. It's like, oh, fuck, I didn't realize that. Okay, well, and then you gotta kind of try a different angle, and that's frustrating, but it's all like part of it's like having somebody like review your book or your record or something like that. You have to do it. Did you buy something else?
I had $40 left of short credit, and I didn't know what to get, and I was gonna save it, and then I remembered I don't have a piano bench, and I saw this was on sale for $38.
Wow.
I have 45 left, so
Nailed it.
yeah.
Did you get with the clearance? The closeout?
Yeah,
sale?
because this was regular, like 100 bones. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling really good about it.
Do the closeout sale. If any of you all are looking for a mixer, I got this here a couple weeks ago, and it was a closeout deal. It was super. I think all of your Yamaha mixers are closeout right
60%, yeah.
now? Dude,
Whoa.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
I got an
Get
Allen
it in
and
mind.
Heath mixer for 60% off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one did you get?
The Z10, I think it's out of stock now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
Z
they're
mixers
coming
are really, really nice.
I just said I missed all the field recorders.
Mm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those Tascam.
Speaking of.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go shop.
Right? Yes. Thank you so much, Greg, for
How
sharing
did we
your
do?
process.
Look at this.
Yeah,
We
we
did
have just a
perfect.
couple minutes left.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants, let's do
All right, that's our episode. Thank you so much for coming back to Popular Modcast. Thank you to Graig Markel of Recovered Effects and The Animals at Night. Thank you to Patchwerks for putting on that show. Speaking of Patchwerks, don't forget about my intro to Eurorack workshop. Link in the show description. Thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon. If you'd like to help keep the LEDs blinking over here at PodMod, head over to patreon.com/PopularModcast. Thank you to Novation, 4MS, Patchwerks, After Later Audio. This week's secret word is Fire Lane. Until next week.